The markets are absolutely crashing today, but it leads to the question, is Donald Trump doing this on purpose? And is he doing it to crash Bitcoin so he can crash and buy more Bitcoin for cheaper? Now, this is interesting. Donald Trump reposted this or retruthed this a video on Truth Social showing that this whole plan might be intentional. So don't listen to me. Let's listen to this video.
By 20% this month, but he's doing it on purpose. And this is why Warren Buffett just said Trump is making the best economic moves he's seen in over 50 years. Now, here's the secret game he's playing, and it could make you rich. So why is he doing this? To push cash into treasuries, which forces the Fed to slash interest rates in May, and those lower rates give the Fed the ability to refinance trillions of debt very inexpensively. It also weakens the dollar and drops mortgage rates. Now, it's a wild chess move, but it's working. Now, you're probably wondering, what about his tariffs? Well, I'll tell you, it's a genius play. It actually forces companies to build here to dodge them. It also forces farmers to sell more of their products here in the US to bring grocery prices way down. We've already seen this with eggs. Now, remember, 94% of all stocks are owned only by 8% of Americans. So Trump, he's taking from the rich short term and handing it to the middle class through lower prices.
Well, look at that. Trump is taking from the rich and handing to the middle class. But I think it's interesting the connection here with Bitcoin, because we've actually had Scott Bessent come out and say that Bitcoin is looking like a store of value. But we've also had some interesting predictions here lately where this article came in just a couple days ago that said Bitcoin crash risk to 70K in 10 days. Look at the date of this. Oh, so ominous here on April 4th, because it's increasing with Bitcoin's practical bottom as 70K. Now, it could fall to its 2021 all-time high, being 70K, according to multiple Bitcoin forecasts. Look, I'm not much of a chart guy or anything along those lines, but I do think that the connection with the overall market with how Bitcoin reacts is very close, and in fact, hand in hand. Now, why do I say that? Well, it lines up with global liquidity, and let's face it, we're still in a fiat economy. We're not into a full Bitcoin standard just yet. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing that analysts looking at the Bitcoin price are seeing exactly what we are seeing. We saw the worst stock market day since 9/11. Now, the worst stock market day since 9/11 on Friday. And then now we're seeing Bitcoin catch up and fall a little bit behind. But I think that it's interesting here where we're saying if Bitcoin continues to track along the 75 percentile bear market range, then 70K would be the practical bottom. And it looks like all of the crypto markets, as much as I hate to say it, are following suit of Bitcoin. But the Ethereum and all the shitcoin tokens, they fall a lot farther than just Bitcoin. So what is going on here, right? We're seeing essentially Trump's tariffs crash the market, right? Or at least the thought that these tariffs will crash the market. Now, why is this an issue and why is this running over into Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin is the most liquid market on the planet. So real estate, for example, right? It takes 30 days at a minimum in the United States to close. Or, I mean, you can close generally a little faster, but the average is around 30 days, maybe a little bit longer. So it takes about a month in order for these real estate transactions to happen. It has a lot of moving parts, banks lending, all this and that. Well, Bitcoin, you could just get on there and click the sell button, click the buy button, do all of these things very, very rapidly to help move the market. Well, same thing with the stock market. So we're seeing that the crash and the ripple effect of the global market fallout rising by this macroeconomic uncertainty fears recession, and it's escalating. The war falling by 14%. No crypto remains unscathed in all this, and major cryptos follow the downward. So CoinMarketCap saw Bitcoin's price trading at 76,000. Now, with all of this, it came down heavily. The market cap came down by 7.5%+ by $1.5 trillion. And this is leading to negatives all over, right? I mean, if you look at strategy, they've disclosed a $5.9 billion in unrealized losses on its Bitcoin holding. So, a company like MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy, is now reporting these losses. So, this loss is now magnified because of what we're seeing with this recent dip, which is very, very interesting because now we're seeing that the FASB also having the negative effect of what we are seeing here. We're seeing the negative of the Bitcoin reporting. I've been reporting on the potential of the positives, right? If we see Bitcoin over 100K, we see Bitcoin skyrocketing. MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy, is going to report massive returns. Now, in fact, they're reporting massive losses. The flip side of things, how is this going to affect MSTR and other companies now putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet? Well, as I reported in the video I did yesterday, more companies are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets. So it does not seem to be in a worry, at least initially, because everybody knows the risks of the potential of volatility of Bitcoin here going forward, right? Everybody knows of those issues. But as my man David Bailey, friend of the program, we got to get him on the podcast hopefully here one of these days. But founder of Bitcoin Magazine is tweeting this out. The past week in Bitcoin's price action doesn't even make the top 5 list for crazy volatility. Maybe makes the top 10, maybe. 15 years of Bitcoin history, you buy every 30% drawdown in a bull market. And yes, we're still in a bull market. And it's interesting. Say what you want about the chart bros. Look, I'm not much of a chart bro myself, but looking at this, Bitcoin crosses the death cross for the first time since September 2024. So what happens when Bitcoin crosses this death cross? Look, it goes down a little bit, and then look at the resulting next 6 months. Look, I'm not saying that this is exactly what's going to happen, but I think that these charts and these patterns that we see in Bitcoin can be lined up with the charts and the patterns that we see in the overall macro economy. Look, Trump, let's face it, Trump is trying to force Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. You saw that in the initial clip that I showed you guys at the beginning. That's his plan. He's reposted that, retruthed that, whatever you want to call it. That's allegedly what he's trying to do, is force Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. He's even come out and said that multiple times today. He's tweeted it. He's posted it on Truth Social. Said, hey, wouldn't it be a nice time to cut interest rates? And on top of that, we've had Jerome Powell and the Fed have a meeting today. They called for this meeting last week. And everybody was saying, hey, there was a rumor it was an emergency meeting. It turns out it wasn't an emergency meeting. It was a planned meeting, but it's an interesting timing that they're having this meeting and having it going on today. So, with that, they crossed that death cross, so to speak. But what another potential friend of the program, Mark Moss, has said, since Bitcoin's 15K low in November 2022, there have been 8 pullbacks of 20% or more. Almost no one remembers. 20, 30% pullbacks in Bitcoin have always been the norm. Crazy volatility is the price for crazy returns. Look, let's repeat that last line. Crazy volatility is the price for crazy returns. Look, volatility is great. Everybody loves volatility when it's going straight up, but you have to be able to level when it goes up, down, wherever, sideways, everything. Everybody's been, that meme, poking Bitcoin, saying, hey, do something. Well, it is doing something. So now here we go, right? But with that, it's very peculiar times. We've got Larry Fink coming out and saying that he won't rule out another 20% drop in the market. Larry Fink has said we might be in a recession already. He's talked to other people saying like all of these, these market drawdowns, we might already be in a recession. So we should be on the lookout for that and the potential signs and the downfalls of being in a recession. But it's interesting what we're seeing with how Bitcoin is reacting, right? We got Bitcoin under 70 or under 80,000, excuse me. We had Bitcoin dip very low last night, 74,000. And now we're sitting at just about even for the day at 78. And Bitcoin even reclaimed 80,000 with all of this. Look, so Bitcoin remaining fairly stable with all of this, seeing the 20 to 30% drawdown, it's just a nature of the beast. If you cannot stomach these Bitcoin price volatilities, the changes, look, it's going to be tough if you don't really know what you're holding, because Bitcoin goes through these cycles, does it pretty frequently. So, like a lot of these, experts, chart guys have been claiming that the Bitcoin bear markets or bull markets do see these 20 to 30% drawdowns. That, look, he said last month he was at 95% certain that it would preserve the 2021 highs as support. So, I mean, those are this guy, But Down Under Blues says he wants to be a friend of the show too. You are a friend of the show. Everybody in the chat who always shows up, you guys are all friends of the show, friend of the programs. All of these 150K price prediction, who predicted 75K? He's a genius. Yeah, I mean, look at this guy. These guys, look at this article here, right? We've got multiple guys predicting 70K within 10 days on April 4th when Bitcoin was at 85 and it looked like it was holding true there. So it is interesting with that, right? So we had All Night Hider, had to bounce, but glad to see him there. He's saying peer-to-peer owner finance can be done and usually best for both parties. Conventional real estate lending is like buying BTC from a gas exchange. I like that. I like that. McLovin is saying Bitcoin bends the knee to no one. Amen to that. But always remember, even though he had to bounce, smoke that like Cheech and Chong. And yes, you guys are all friends here. We'll have to, eventually we'll have to do some sort of meetup or get together with all the people in the chat. I would love to share a beer with all of you guys, because I know we spend almost every day a little bit, 20 to 30 minutes together, because we're talking about this internet, the funny money, the death cross here. We're talking about all of the things in the market here that we are all seeing, right? It's the writing on the wall. It's interesting because a few people, make these moves, say these things. In fact, they aren't even really implemented, because the markets do things like look forward, right? So we see the markets reacting to all of these things in the overall macro economy based on predictions, right? So these things are not fully all like coming true yet, right? The tariffs are being implemented and everybody's saying who's going to do what. And essentially, it's this sort of negotiation, pull back and forth. And so what happens? The markets react and react very quickly. So of course, Bitcoin is going to react very quickly in that. That is the one positive and negative of Bitcoin, right? I mean, we had before Elon Musk, when Tesla was accepting Bitcoin, you see things shoot up dramatically, right? You see various people say things about Bitcoin. You see Trump say things about Bitcoin. You see Trump get elected and Bitcoin shoot to 100K. We don't really know if that was because of, because of other factors. I mean, we normally see November absolutely shoot up. Q4 is usually generally a good time for Bitcoin. But all these different factors, macroeconomic wise, shoot Bitcoin to the moon. So with that, we've got to be cautious with how we're evaluating and if we can stomach these 20 to 30% drawdowns, right? As Mark Moss is saying, right? 20 to 30% pullbacks are normal, right? But if you zoom out here, 6 months, we're still up 25%. Look, 25% in half a year. That's not too shabby, folks. That's not too bad. Okay, fine. 1 year, we're up 14%. But if you really sit back and think about it, they tell you 8 to 12% return is really what you want for the 8 S&P 500. This is beating the general average with all of that. But as you guys know and love, I want to give you guys some free sats for powering it through. We're going to survive this bear market, folks, and we're going to all make it here. So get your Lightning wallets ready because we are going to give you some free sats courtesy of my friends over at the Bitcoin Well. You could go to the bitcoinwell.com, just bitcoinwell.com, bitcoinwell.com/green candle. Every time you buy Bitcoin, the psychopaths over there will give you wishing well tokens, which is what we're going to do here now. And with that, you could potentially win 1 million sats after you buy Bitcoin. So you buy Bitcoin, you get 1 million sats on top of whatever you've already bought, and you could potentially get an extra $750 worth of Bitcoin right now. Right? It's been as much as $1,000. That's going to be generational wealth potentially very soon. So get your Lightning wallets ready. Here goes the wishing well. Let's see what we've got. Boom, another 210 sats straight to the dome, straight to you guys. So hurry up and scoop up those sats. And as I say to you guys, the thing I love about Bitcoin Well is it's strictly non-custodial. So you could go to bitcoinwell.com. They've got a great OTC desk as well if you're looking to make a 50K plus purchase. Hell, look at what we've got. We've got Bitcoin at a very low rate right now. We've got Bitcoin at 78K. Some of you guys in this chat I know can buy one whole Bitcoin. So go to bitcoinwell.com, go to OTC desk. They will give you the perfect white glove service where they can get you all set up. And then on top of that, right, they want you to do it in cold storage. So go to bitbox.swiss/green candle. The link is in the description below. You guys can buy all of the things you need in order to securely store your Bitcoin. So I recommend the Bitcoin only edition, as I am Bitcoin only and will only be Bitcoin only forever and ever, folks. So go to bitbox.swiss/green candle, get the Bitcoin only edition, then get yourself a steel wallet, and then get yourself a hammer and seed phrase and all of that so you guys can properly secure your Bitcoin. You don't want to store it on your seed phrase generational wealth or anything along those lines on paper because you could lose that very, very easily. And what we're seeing the crazy lunatics predict this 70K Bitcoin and saying it'll hold, right? I mean, we saw this as the all-time high previously. We've got McLovin saying BTC is beating his savings account by a light year on appreciation. Amen to that. Bitcoin is the greatest savings technology there is. I did see one tweet that did make me chuckle today that I got it sent from a friend. Maybe I could pull it up here. But it says, Bitcoin is, or no, he's saying that the one work girly who has all of their money in their savings account is actually beating the crypto bros and the stock market geniuses now because, the market's been down for the year, right? But I mean, that's part of it. Everything's not going to be up and to the right at all times, but eventually, as my man as my man McLovin, friend of the program McLovin is saying, we will have Bitcoin be crushing your savings account here pretty soon. And Down Under Blues is saying, when Bitcoin hits new all-time highs, maybe we can meet up. I can't afford it now. Amen to that, man. I am we're all getting jobs at McDonald's. At first I thought we were all getting girlfriends. Now we're like Michael Saylor here, where we're realizing all our unrealized gains here, our unrealized losses, excuse me. Michael Saylor, the Giga Chad, he's been doubling and tripling down, and now we're seeing a $5.91 billion loss. Look, the interesting aspect of what strategy has been doing is that they've been losing money for 4 years straight. Now they're reporting even a bigger loss. So 4 years and a quarter straight. So it's interesting to see how this will play out. But remember, as Mark Moss says, right? 20 to 30% drawdowns are not atypical for Bitcoin. So I think you guys should 100% look at what we've got going on here and say, hey, this is par for the course. This is normal, right? We should be expecting these things. Don't forget to smoke the like while you guys are in there and hit the bell notification, subscribe so you guys know when I'm going live. So you guys could potentially win some sats because we've got, Uncle Larry coming out and saying that he thinks we're in a recession. We've got other people worrying about the potential of all of this. He won't rule down, Uncle Larry won't rule out another 20% drawdown of all of this, right? All of these things add up to the potential of Bitcoin crashing a little bit more. And maybe we haven't hit that bottom yet. But I am going to be going live again later today at 5 p.m. Eastern. But I'm going to be doing it on my Macro Insights channel. This is going to be more focused on strictly the macro environment. So, and less on Bitcoin. I'll be doing a deep dive on the tariffs, the stock market, and everything else. So please, guys, go over and hit that subscribe button there. I'll be going live there in an hour and a half. And I'm really going to be trying to work on bringing this channel from about 100 subscribers right now to 1,000 very quickly. So I love you guys in the chat. We're all friends of the program. So if you guys could go over there, hit that subscribe button, and join me in the chat later today. It'll be at 4 p.m. Central Time where I'm at. I'm in Dallas in a hotel right now after going to BitBlock Boom. But would love to see you guys there. Smash the like button, subscribe button here, and then see you hopefully later at the Macro Insights live stream in an hour and a half.